So just a little demonstration here of the Consent Manager configured in both its flavors on a test site that I've got. I've made this video because I completed this task before, yet didn't document it fully, and so when it came to do it again in front of the client, I forgot. So I'm going to dive right in there with the site on my development environment. Got 3 environments here. Okay, so this is the first stage, and second stage implementation is done. Here we have the usual standard cookie banner, and then we've gone on and we've done actually the second stage, which is the GDPR section. So your client may want either accept explicitly or not explicitly. What we've got here is the original banner, but we've also additionally configured the consent preferences dialog here. If we hop over to my QA environment, we shall see that that is actually working. So the way it works is the original banner invokes the second banner, and you must modify the HTML and JavaScript to make it show. If you don't do that, it won't show. Okay. So here in the QA environment, which is further up, we've got this custom box with all the categories shown, and I configured it to for the consent state to be enabled as default. So you've got each slider here is shown as blue. Please note the default state is off, and I'll show you where to modify that setting on there. I've just done some basic word fill with all the categories available, filling out all the boxes, and there's a slider for each one. I'll also take you through the categorization process inside Tealium, which each category is assigned its very own omit group to allow you to turn the customer to turn on some technologies but not others. Please note I've done some very basic styling on this, including chucking in a logo and so forth, but better just filled out all the boxes, which is why it looks like this. So by example, social, which is usually the most contentious one, I've put in the word social stuff like Facebook and Pinterest, and the user can just toggle that one on or off. Okay, and then I'll show you how that's set up inside Tealium. Okay, so we can confirm that. Alright, so just jump into Tealium to see how this is actually configured. Stage 1, which covers most clients, those not requiring the specific tailored consent preferences dialog shown below, is you would enable this one here, and paying attention to your load rules. So this is just all pages unless explicitly disabled. Just fill out all the boxes here. On this particular client, as you can see, I've added in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different languages. Be very cautious of this toggle button here, global parameter. So if I toggle that on, what it will do is it will pull in the languages, configuration, theming, etc. at the account level and pull it into the profile level. And then I've done that here, and then I've toggled it off again and customized it as this profile, and only this profile has got the 6 languages on there. But if I were to toggle that back on, it would jump back to the account level ones, which is only 2 languages. Please bear that in mind for your organization. That setting is over here in global consent customization. So as you can see here, I've toggled that to jump back to English and Gaelic. Okay, so there's account level settings and profile level settings. Generally, most clients operate in 1 or 2 languages, such as Netherlands and Germany, and those would be the account installed at the account level, and then at the retail level would be that particular company operates in a territory which needs a different language configuration from that, the default. Okay, so part 1 fill out is fairly straightforward, or you do need a little bit of front end experience. These basically just populate these macros, and these macros can be reused over here in these 3 blocks of code. You've got 3 blocks. You've got CSS, HTML, and JavaScript. CSS, you obviously do all the theming and styling. You might want to create class names where appropriate. The HTML is obviously the way that the actual box displays, and then the JavaScript section itself is generally where I would add all the instrumentation, which is what I'm going to take you through here in a moment. All this code I'm going to, when I post this up to Tealium Learning Community, I'm going to chuck it in as a zip file on the attachment there and show you some things which is probably explains why it's not working. Okay, CSS is fairly straightforward. It has been expanded for all the different languages, 6 in this case. The HTML, which is the all-important section, you've got your language switcher buttons here. Okay, you've got your class. Now, crucially, this line here, for the clients that are wishing to have the fully tailored experience offered to their customers, you need to add that line in. So that adds in the message followed by a button that says consent preferences, which is clickable, which then itself invokes the second dialogue. Okay. Now I need to do a little adjustment here because I need to put this on its own line. So I'm just going to put in that there, just to shift it down, a line. Okay, close that, and you can preview it if you wish. Yep, so let's put it on the extra line there. Quite happy with that. Test it. The preview mode doesn't unfortunately execute the language selections, which is a bit tricky. So that's now on the additional line. I'm going to go ahead and publish that. Subject to just correct my JavaScript error there. No, that won't work. Yep. Yes, something like that there. Let's preview that. Yep. Apply that, and it just takes effect when we kick it out. So we kick it out to the QA environment. Consent preferences dialog you can trigger manually on the command line, okay, or you can invoke it from the first dialog. That's the key point, is that the second dialog is nested within the first dialog, and it has its own separate CSS, HTML, and JavaScript. Okay, which I'll show you working in a moment. That means all your instrumentation, if you want to, the approach here we've used for the Google Analytics is we've added in an event listener, and you'll obviously have to add that event listener into both dialogues, first dialogue and the second dialogue. Please note the bit that got me was there is when the code comes out of the box from Tealium, this line here is commented out. With a comment that says something like configure everything correctly and then remove this comment. So when you do that, then the UTag views will start to go out. If you don't do that, you won't see any UTag views and you're wondering what's going on. Hopefully that should have rippled out by now. Okay, so that's working quite nicely. We've obviously deleted the cookies there, the consent manager cookie, which I'll speak about in a moment. And then the preferences dialog here appears here. There is a setting, another setting you'll probably want to enable to make sure that those are all technologies are enabled by default, depending on the legislation within your own specific country or the steer that you've had from a legal counsel about whether or not they should be on by default or off by default. You have everything set up, and then we've got our options tag at the moment. This is the category state on off toggle. If I put this to off, all sliders will appear off by default, and I've altered it in this case to be on, so they're on by default. Tags to emit, non-tracker tags to be loaded regardless of visitor selection. In this case here, we fire the Tealium collect tag irrespective of what the customer wishes. That is under legitimate interest. You can fire Tealium collect because we use Tealium as our auditing solution. Of course, any customer data should not be used for personalization audit purposes over there. So what we're doing is we're sending the data but not using it. Okay, just go through some of these settings in here. Obviously I've only done it in one language. That needs to be broken out into 5. Categories. This is the interesting part here. This is where we take all technologies that it's found installed, and you have to map it to a particular category. Okay, so Google Analytics, GTAG.js, and then these are all the tags that are actually installed. Okay, so starting with this one, Tealium benchmark is I put it in the monitoring bucket. Google Analytics and call tracking. This, well, it has ACM tracking functions. It also has personalization. It also makes the phones work. So in this case, I'm going to put, it's probably classified as analytics, or I'm going to classify it as analytics cookies. Okay, onto the mid list because it actually cranks out a telephone number to the customer, which it didn't work, which means the customer won't be able to call us. So I'll not get into the details on that, but I'm going to configure it in the emit list. Okay, so I'll add it to the emit list ruler, and this is essentially irrespective of what the customer indicates, it will fire anyway. So they go this one, oh, wrong one, sorry. Yes, it is. It wasn't a custom container. Yes, because it wasn't in the gallery. Note this single cookie restriction. This is very useful because it allows you to install Google Analytics in a kind of restricted light mode, kind of Google Analytics Lite or Google Analytics Zero after the soft drink. Basically, it falls within legitimate interest if you don't use it for performance or anything like that, and you can put in a light version of any tag as long as you turn the cookie window right down, and this allows you to do that. So if I confirm that and then I just jump on here, you'll see this cookie set first party called Consent Manager, on which it contains this. This cookie crucially will alter if you customize preferences. So let's show you what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to delete all the cookies and start again. What we're going to do is we'll see if we go into the cookie, the Consent Manager cookie, we get all those options that are captured. Okay, so the Consent Manager slides across the permission. You can alter it to either ask never again or ask every 90 days. Usually consent is given once, but again, it depends on what legal steer you've had. Some companies at the stricter end want to reaffirm permissions for market technologies every 90 days, and others consider that intrusive. This cookie here expires there on the 7th. Okay, so that's a short expiry one. You'll probably want to add that into your data layer in the normal way. So data layer over here, and then filter first party cookies. Okay, consent manager cookie. That'll make it available, make the little string available for distribution around your tags. So you send it off to Google Analytics or whatever you wish to do. Okay, the next part is the installation of the listener. So what you do is install the listener and do you tag views. If I go off to here, so if I go off to here under consent management, we've got the two blocks set up. Now if I want to do instrumentation for the first dialog and the second dialog, it has to be done separately in here. Okay, so there it is. Setting up category action labels, and then my UTag links going out. Here it's pushing off to an additional system which isn't actually deployed, so we could remove that chunk of code if we wanted. This is basically putting events category action label on the data layer in the normal way, and the cookie events really 42 is not a system which the site uses. That function would be available, so we don't need that, and just take that whole chunk, take that chunk of instrumentation out. There. Okay, start again here. Okay, so I've deleted all my cookies again. Just go back to the beginning of the testing process. If I go over here on QA, and then I have just make sure there's one of these in the background only. Let's load that. Okay, so consent preferences, let's turn some stuff off. Consent manager, okay, confirm that there, and then see what data layer pushes we've got operating in the background. Here we go, so we've got all the key consent event, key consent agree clicked. Seems to be coming from the first dialog, not the second dialog. Yeah, so we've got a fault here. It's enabled on one dialog, but not the other. Okay, so we jump back into Tealium. And we just need to get the JavaScript in here. I think what we see in here is probably not enabled.